job. And let me tell you, when I hear folks saying hiring more teachers won't help this economy grow, they are wrong. Because if we've got great teachers in the classroom, that's going to help our kids and it's going to help our economy. Don't tell me that students who can't afford college should just borrow more money from their parents. That wasn't an option for me. It wasn't an option for a lot of you. That's why I want to cut the growth in tuition in half over the next 10 years. I want to recruit 100,000 math and science teachers so our kids don't fall behind the rest of the world. I want to train 2 million Americans in our community colleges with skills the businesses are looking for right now. That's what we're fighting for in this election. That's what real change is. Thank you. Change comes when we live up to this country's legacy of innovation. Today, the great news about the auto industry is we're not just building cars again, we're building better cars. Innovative cars. Cars that by the middle of the next decade will go twice as far on a gallon of gas. And by the way, here in Ohio, it's not just cars that we're starting to manufacture again. We're building long-lasting batteries and wind turbines all across Ohio, all across the country. We've got to keep our cutting edge technology and research and innovation and investment. And I don't want a tax code that subsidizes oil company profits when they're making money hand over fist. I want to support the energy jobs of tomorrow, the new technology that will help cut our oil imports in half. And I don't want a tax code that rewards companies for creating those jobs overseas. I want to reward companies that are creating jobs in manufacturing right here in the United States of America. That's what we're standing for. Change is turning the page on a decade of war, so we can do some nation building here at home. As long as I'm Commander-in-Chief, we will pursue our enemies with the strongest military that the world's ever known. But it's time to use the savings from many of the wars in Iraq and winding down the war in Afghanistan to pay down our debt and rebuild America. We're building roads and bridges and schools all across Ohio, all across America. And let's especially focus on putting our veterans back to work as they come home. We need to serve them as well as they serve us. Nobody who fights for this country should have to fight for a job when they come home. That's what's at stake in this election. That's my commitment. Change is a future where we do reduce our deficit, but we do it in a balanced, responsible way. I've already signed $1 trillion worth of spending cuts. I intend to do more. But if we're serious about the deficit, we also have to ask the wealthiest Americans to go back to the rates that they paid when Franklin was in office. Because if I'm not paying a little bit more, and Governor Romney's not paying a little bit more, then the choice is to start cutting out help for young people trying to go to school. It's to hurt folks who are vulnerable and depend on things like Medicaid. As long as I'm president, I will never turn Medicare into a voucher just to pay for another millionaire's tax. And I'm not going to get more experience for some young person who's working hard trying to go to school. I'm not going to make them pay more just so I get a tax break that I don't need. I'm not going to cut out some research grant to some outstanding young scientist that could have the next discovery for cancer. Just because, I want to tax them, but I don't need it. That's not who we are. That's not what change is. We know what the future requires. And we know it won't be easy. Back in 2008, I told somebody, I said, look, I'm not just talking about changing presidents or changing political parties in Washington. I said, we're going to talk about real change. We're talking about changing how our politics works. I ran because the voices of the American people, your voices, have been shut out of our democracy for way too long by lobbyists and special interests, politicians who will do whatever it takes to keep things just the way they are. And over the last 4 years, you've seen it, but the status quo in Washington has fought us every step of the way. They've spent millions trying to stop us from reforming the healthcare system. They've spent millions trying to keep us from reforming Wall Street. They engineered a strategy of gridlock in Congress, refusing to compromise on ideas that both Democrats and Republicans in the past have supported. What they're counting on now is that you're going to be so worn down by all the squabbling, so worn down by all the dysfunction, that you'll just give up, walk away, put them back in the power. In other words, Ohio, their bet is on cynicism. My bet is on you. My vote is for you. Whatever part has been with me in that fight, I've worked with them. There have been times when Republicans cooperated on tax cuts for middle-class families and small businesses. There were Republicans who helped us repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. When they're about broadening opportunity and helping the middle class, we can work together. But as long as I'm president, I've said I won't work with anybody of any party to move this country forward. If you want to break the gridlock in Congress, you'll vote for leaders who feel the same way, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or Democrat. But I'm not just going to cut a deal that kicks students off of financial aid, or gets rid of funding for Planned Parenthood, or lets insurance companies discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions, or eliminate health care for millions on Medicaid who are poor